Hello and welcome to the Witchy Weather Report. How are we feeling today? Helps be doing the looping. Hi friends, it's the Witchy Weather Report. I've got some live looping music going for you. My name is Rory Kelly. I hope we're all feeling excellent. Hey Siobhan, good to see you. See how I can get this going. Alright, I got some live music going for a portion of you. If you're on Instagram, I'm sorry, I have to imagine it. I try to put the monitor on so y'all can hear it a little bit, but then I get feedback, and that's not fun. Hey Melissa Longo. Big Melissa energy in the house. How we feeling today? Hey Grayson. Alright, I've got some pleasantly spoopy witchy weather music if you're watching on Instagram, YouTube, not Instagram, if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm sorry, I tried to get it through my monitor speakers for you, but you get feedback. Hello, Gigi. Yes, I am taking questions. The way to ask me to pull a card for you, I'm glad you asked. I'll let everyone know. In the Witchy Weather Report, I pull a card for everyone. And, one card, for the whole group, for us all to guide our week. And then I take as many requests as I can, fitting into the next hour. So at noon is my cutoff. It's 11:05 a.m. for me. So noon my time is my cutoff time, and that's when I have to end the broadcast because I have a gig to go to. And if you would like me to pull a card for you, the code we use is to drop a cat emoji in the chat or write the word meow. And please feel free to include a question when you drop a cat. And the reason I do that is because when people say, please pull a card for me, what happens is we often will get spammers in the chat. So we have this secret code where we drop a cat. That is the way of the Witchy Weather Report. Good morning, Mary Jane. How you doing? Good morning, Grayson. All right, I see a couple meows. I see a couple of cats. Don't worry. I got you covered. I got you, Gigi. And let's see, I'm going to get started in just a minute. Let me get some banners going here. There we go. I see you with that cat. You got the hang of it. Here we go. I think I got one more. Here we go. All right. This is the Witchy Weather Report, which is something I do as a little subset of my Sassafras Cast podcast. If y'all don't know, I have a podcast called Sassafras, and Sassafras Cast, and I just put out a new episode last night, in the dead of night. It just went live around like midnight or something like that. So there is a new episode for you anywhere you listen to podcasts if you search the words Sassafras Cast, all one word, Sassafras Cast. How is everybody feeling on this fine morning? Gigi says scammers are everywhere, honestly. Yeah, it's really, really true. And I try my best to keep them out of the comments because it's a bad experience, because I think there's some kind of algorithm where they just search any live video for words like tarot and pull a card and things like that. And and then they show up and like start trying to solicit people for readings. You know, they're like, DM me, I will tell your future. And I'm like, man, this is my page. Go do that somewhere else. So yeah, Gigi, you were right. It's very hard to avoid. So I'm reading with a brand new tarot deck. To me, but I think it's fairly new in the world as well. This is the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann. It's a really unique tarot deck. I'm really excited to be reading with it. I spent a little time getting to know it and at the same time kind of randomizing it the other day. And I am excited. This is a unique tarot deck, and I'm going to tell you about how unique it is. Infused with a wildly eclectic spirit, the Muse Tarot will illuminate your path towards inspiration and magic with its bright symbolism and powerful muse in energy. The suits are recast as emotions, cups, inspiration, wands, voices, swords, and materials, pentacles, to deliver messages from the source of creation. It's really a beautiful deck, and I think you're going to really like it. It's by Chris Ann, who also made the Lightseers Tarot, which I don't have, but I know has like a, cult following. Hey Tracy, thanks for tuning in. Hey Ondine. Grayson says, how are you, Rory? Thank you for asking. I am well. I am a little bit tired, and a little overwhelmed because this is the busiest time of my summer. But I'm feeling happy. I'm in a good mood today. All right, let's get going because I know I have a few people putting cats in the chat. This is a kind of big deck. I think the cardstock must be kind of thick because me shuffling this is like, ooh, it's a stretch for my little thumbs. All right, I'm gonna get shuffling and choose us a card for the week. My intention with the Witchy Weather Report is always to choose a card that will guide us, allow us to tap into what we need, and access, kind of our highest good here. I might have just introduced some reversals. What are you gonna do? All right, what's our card for the week? Let's find out. Our card for the week is indeed a reversal. It is the Five of Emotions, which is the Five of Cups reversed. Now, I love this card on this deck. I'll turn it over so you can see it more clearly, because Cups is about water, emotions in this deck. Water literally does mean your emotions, and this is a card about disappointment, and you can see that this woman is standing and literally in a cavern that has turned to ice. Big Frozen vibes. If anyone has watched that movie, my niece is obsessed with it. Really, it's about that feeling of your emotions that once were warm and welcoming, turning to ice and really feeling painful and challenging. And the Five of Cups is a card about disappointment. Now, the fact that we got it reversed means that we have an opportunity to move through a disappointment in a way that is healthy and gain some wisdom from it. We have a choice. We can get stuck in our disappointment, or we can honor it, but look for ways to move through. Look for... I don't want to say to do this too quickly. I think all of us are facing big and small disappointments, especially this year as there have been, so much dramatic stuff happening in the world this year. And recently, as the Delta variant has started to ramp up here in New York, we have a brand new governor because... our governor had a, big sexual harassment scandal. So it's been an event. It's been like August has been a month and it's only halfway through. And I think many of us are experiencing personal things as well, that lead to feelings of disappointment and feelings of distrust. That's a biggie with the Five of Cups, the feeling of, can I trust again, having been let down once? And it's really exemplified by this, like, things are turning to ice. Yes, ice is beautiful, but ice will not keep you warm at night. It will do the opposite. So our question is, can we find it in ourselves to build some emotional resilience out of this experience, to perhaps draw on our own inner strength, or look around us and identify people who have not let us down, people who have shown up for us at times when we were disappointed or were nursing a hurt, and identify that yes, we do still have warmth in our lives. We do still have strength and resilience and the ability to have a deeply emotionally fulfilling lives, even though we have had a challenging time. That's our goal this week. And I don't want to tell you like positive vibes only. I'm not that person, and I think it can be a little toxic, but I do want to say, allow yourselves to feel, if you're feeling some lingering disappointments, if you're feeling like, oh, it's hard for me to hope or trust again after XYZ that happened in my life, really relatable and understandable, I'm encouraging you at this time to honor that emotion, to sit with it, and to like kind of place your hand over your heart. This is a technique I learned from Tara Brach, who is a meditation teacher. Place your hand over your heart and say, I care about this suffering. You know, if you find yourself stuck, I don't want you to try to talk yourself out of your feelings. I instead encourage you to take yourself in hand and know that you are moving towards a better future. All right. I have got a bunch of cats in the chat. If you would like me to pull a card for you, the secret code today is to drop a cat emoji in the chat or just write the word meow, and I will know to pull a card for you. You know what? I feel like this is a little too minor key-y. I'm gonna pop us with a little bit of a different vibe here. I know. I'm like a mad scientist. It's the problem. I know that's pretty quiet. Y'all can tell me if you'd like me to raise it a little bit, but I don't want it to interfere with us being able to talk. This is my MIDI keyboard over here, and I like to just loop a little music now with the Witchy Weather Report, set a nice mood. Gigi says, I'm so sorry my connection went down. Did you read mine? No, I didn't get to you yet. Don't worry. I am just starting, and I am taken in the order I received. Let me take a look at Instagram here. Do I have any cats from Instagram? Yes, I have Ondine. Hey now. Trying to move through these comments a little bit. Tracy and Melissa, let me know if you'd like me to pull a card for you. I'd be happy to. And Instagram. So I've got Ondine, then I have got you, Gigi, and then Grayson. And I have more people. Don't worry. If you tuned in already and dropped a cat, don't worry. I got you. I just haven't gotten to you yet. All right, Ondine, I'm shuffling for you at this time. I am reading with the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann. My first time reading with this deck. I got this deck in Boston, actually, when I was playing a gig in Brookline a few weeks ago, and I've spent some time looking through it, but not reading with it yet. We're getting reversals these days. Ondine, you have the Emperor reversed. This is very powerful, actually, I feel, because the Emperor can literally represent patriarchy in my readings. I've had that come up for me a lot. The Emperor also indicates leadership, the positive aspects of masculinity, non-toxic masculinity, as well as toxic masculinity, depending on how it comes up. And it can represent inner strength, inner resolve, you know, kind of a my way or the highway mentality. I'm going to make this happen and I expect everyone to get in line, that attitude. So the Emperor reverse tells me two things. It tells me that you are not necessarily playing well with the powers that be, in a healthy way. In other words, standing up for yourself, you know, not allowing yourself to be dictated to. On the other hand, the Emperor's reverse does indicate a personal sense of a lack of leadership, a lack of ability to control your own destiny. So I'm going to encourage you this week to take some time with yourself and ask yourself, if you're doing something which I have certainly fallen prey to, which is on the outside, externally, verbally saying, no, I won't stand for this, or this is what I need in my life, even if, you know, kind of the culture and society and the powers that be don't agree with it, maybe externally you are standing up for yourself, but maybe internally you are feeling like, oh God, the battle's already lost. And I'm encouraging you to do that internal work and ask yourself, how can I be a leader in this? And I think you may already be doing the external work that you need to be doing. I encourage you to look within and ask yourself why you have this crisis of confidence right now. Why is it that you're feeling that you can't, emerge whole and strong from this and take a position of leadership in your own life? And again, I encourage you to sit with what comes up, kind of honor it, put your hand over your heart. I care about this suffering, and ask yourself if there is a way that you can take a slightly different perspective. I'm not asking you to change years and years of conditioning and experience around in 24 seconds. Instead, I'm asking you if you can look at what you're experiencing and ask yourself if you can identify some ways that maybe another thought could be true, that maybe there's a possibility that things could actually work out in your favor, and that you actually could find the strength you need to do what you need to do against these forces that feel so unassailable in your life. This is a potential turning point for you. And most turning points, you don't have to do a 180, right? You can do a small course correct and identify maybe there's a different way to look at this. And if you keep making those small, maybe I can see this more positively, maybe I can be more strong in this, maybe I have the resilience after all. If you keep making those small maybe assertions, then they can add up into something very powerful. And that's what you're invited to do at this point. Okay. Grayson, I'm going to pull a card for you. Then you are on deck, Gigi. If anyone has a particular question you would like to ask with your card, please feel free. I will let y'all know I do not read, I don't read medical questions because I am not a doctor. These pretty cards did not go to medical school. And I also don't read like get inside someone else's head questions, because that's not very nice, to try and spy on someone, whether or not you believe that's possible. But pretty much everything else I'm happy to inquire with the universe for you about. Anyway, so if you have a question in particular, please let me know. I would love to address that for you. Meow. Judith says, meow, I just woke up. Good morning. All right. I am shuffling for you, Grayson. Judith dropping a cat in the chat. We're getting nothing but reversals today, and I'm looking at my deck and I'm like, did I just hold it the wrong way? No, we are really getting reversals. It's funny, I'm not someone who necessarily introduces reversals into a deck on purpose. And this morning I was like, oh, am I doing that? I better be careful not to. And then turn the cards around and did introduce reversals into the deck, which that's when I like to read with reversals, when it really feels like, I don't want to say an accident, but like, okay, well, maybe my subconscious led me to do this and there's a reason for it today. That's my personal philosophy as a tarot reader, and it's okay if you feel differently. We can all read different ways. All right, we have the Knight of Inspiration. I'm reading from this great deck today called the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann, and inspiration in this case would refer to wands. We have the Knight of Wands. Inspiration replaces the suit of fire in this deck. And we have the Knight of Inspiration again reversed. So here's the Knight upright. This is a beautiful card. We see a horse, kind of a free wild horse, running through possibly a fairground with a big firework in the back, just looking lit up and on fire and excited about life. And when we have it reversed, the indication is that you have the potential to be lit up and on fire and excited about life, but there is something blocking you from that. And usually it's something that's internal. Relating to our upside down 5 of Cups, I'm going to say this may have to do with a recent disappointment. You may feel that you don't have that inner fire to draw on, or perhaps you can't access that inner fire. And I want to do 2 things. I want to encourage you to be patient with yourself, because it's not our job to constantly be going. It's not our job to constantly be creating, constantly be inspired, constantly be this force of nature. It's okay if sometimes you need a break and you need to step back in order to heal yourself. At the same time, the fact that you're getting this card reversed indicates that it may be that you're going too far in the other direction. There may be so much self-doubt that your natural kind of creative sparks, which could be a source of healing, are getting choked out because you won't even acknowledge them. And so what I encourage you to do here, again, this is going to be like, I think, the theme of this week, which is, as you're moving through it and as you're experiencing challenges, emotional internal challenges is what I'm talking about here, allow yourself to care about it. You know, this is something I learned from Tara Brach. Put your hand on your heart, say, I care about this suffering. I'll tell you the context I learned about it. It was in her book, Radical Self-Acceptance, and it was about an individual who came to one of her meditation retreats who was struggling with self-compassion, who really blamed himself for all of his problems and felt very frustrated at himself, as though he were throwing a pity party when those feelings started to come up. And she asked him if, instead of trying to turn around and say affirmations like, I love myself, I am perfect, which felt like too big of a stretch for him at that time, if he could just put his hand on his heart and say, I care about this suffering. It's kind of the bare minimum of showing like, hey, I don't know how to do this perfectly yet. I don't know how to show up for myself perfectly yet, but I care about this suffering. And it allows us to kind of relax a little bit, to open up a little bit, to feel a little more expansive and vulnerable with ourselves, which is the first step. So that is my invitation to you, is to care about what you're going through. Allow yourself to feel these complicated feelings, and ask yourself if there are small ways that you can engage that spark of passion. Because what happens when we have inspiration and passion and creativity and ideas that we're excited about, and we don't go after them, they can kind of become turned in on themselves, and they can turn into a subtle form of self-harm. And I don't want that. I don't want them to turn into a way for you to beat yourself up. I would rather you say, okay, is there a very small baby step I can take around this? Because that's all I feel comfortable doing. And if I spend the whole rest of the day, just looking after myself, that's okay. I want you to give yourself permission to think really small and be kind to yourself along the way. Grayson says, thanks, I've been beating myself up over not feeling creative lately. I'm going to submit to you that maybe your creativity, your creative feelings are getting a little blocked by a sense of disappointment, by a sense of, often with Knights reverse, like a sense of impotence, a sense of like, oh, why should I do this? Because everything I try doesn't work out anyway. Those kind of feelings. And I'm not trying to put words in your head by any means, but I encourage you to trust that, your creativity and your spark is still there, and allow yourself to think really small. The Knight of Wands reversed, Anna. Anna says, what card was pulled? Oh, you're probably asking about the card for everyone. So if you just joined, I did pull a card for everyone today. Everybody's card today is the Five of Cups reversed, which tells us that we have a risk of getting lost in our disappointments rather than acknowledging all the good we have in our lives, and rather than acknowledging all the good that comes from our own strength and our own resilience. And I'm encouraging us all this week, rather than to push ourselves to be positive, which can feel very false, and results in us burying our emotions rather than honoring them, I encourage us to honor our emotions, to care about our own suffering, to be kind and take baby steps with ourselves, and yet to continue to look for the smallest ways that we can think, well, there is an example of my resilience. There is an example of someone who does care about me. There is an example of things going well. To simply take the opportunity to look for those examples, because that's what's going to lead us out of the dark if we're feeling struggling. I speak words. Gigi, I'm going to pull a card for you at this time. Then I'm going to go back and look at the other cats in the chat. Don't worry, I got you all. Couple people saying thank you, you're welcome. And it says, oh my gosh, so feeling that. Yeah, it's a weird time, man. For the last 18 months we've all been saying it, like that we live in unprecedented times, and it's really real though. We really do live in unprecedented times, or at least unprecedented to our kind of cultural wheelhouse. That we are in the middle of a global pandemic. There was a Spanish flu about 100 years ago. And none of us were around for that. We don't know how it was handled. I listened to this really interesting podcast that said there was a big, because that happened during World War I, that there was actually a lot of cultural forgetting about it around the years coming out of the Spanish flu. And history texts often don't really mention it or gloss over the fact that the Spanish flu was happening. And yet it caused trauma for a lot of people and did personally affect people's lives. So I urge us to be careful not to have a cultural forgetting, to allow this to really have affected us, because it's a big thing in our life. Anyway, Gigi, I'm going to pull a card for you. And it says, words are hard. Yes, they are hard. And I'm a musician. So Saturday morning for me is like, huh. All right, Gigi, your card is also reversed. I've gotten all reverse cards today. Oh my gosh. All right, your card is the Magician reversed. Today I'm going to ask you, and I'm sorry that these are feeling like a little bit of bummer readings, but I think what is coming out as an overall theme here is a sense of blocked potential. And I want to encourage us to consider that whatever setbacks we're all feeling, first of all, that apparently literally everyone is experiencing these setbacks, these feelings of blocked potential. So we're not alone. But that perhaps it's divine timing to give us an opportunity to reconsider ourselves and reconsider our path and our beliefs, and perhaps refine them into something that serves us better. So, Gigi, your card here is the Magician reversed, which indicates that though you do have the power to create what you want in your life, you do not feel that you do. You do not feel that you have the tools to make the change in your life. You may feel kind of adrift at the hands of fate a little bit, like, well, what can I do? I don't have the power in this situation. And what this means as a reversal is that you're feeling cut off from your own power, or actually more to the point, you are cut off from your own power. As a result, you may not realize it's there. You may not realize that you have power. And I'm going to encourage you to spend some time this week sitting with yourself and asking yourself how you can have a small impact on your life this day. What choices you have that can change the course of your day, even very small ones, right? The choice of what do I eat for breakfast? The choice of do I sleep in another 10 minutes? Or do I get up with my alarm? And I'm going to validate either choice, having made both choices recently. The choice of, how do I respond to this difficult conversation? And the choice of how do I respond to a more carefree, loving conversation? Your choices right now may feel more like all you get to do is respond to the situation around you. In some ways, that's true of everyone, right? We create reality together. So we are at the mercy of everyone else creating reality right along with us, It's impossible to say that we create our own reality because we live with many other people, right? So if we're all creators of our own reality, that's going to bump into each other at a time. And yes, I am subtweeting the law of attraction right now. I really like the idea that we co-create our own reality. We do have power in our lives. So do other people, because other people are real. So, instead of feeling completely powerless, I invite you to just find small ways to draw on your power this week, to acknowledge the tiny ways you can make choices for yourself, and you can turn the tides of your day, even in tiny ways, because that is the road back to feeling in touch with your power, to feeling that you have more control over the bigger things in your life that may feel out of control. I want to ask you to think small this week, and rather than feeling frustrated by it, feel elated. Feel like, oh, I actually do have a lot more options than I believe. That is my prescription for you. I usually don't give such prescriptive advice. I'm sorry, y'all. That's how it is today. I'm going to take a quick hydration checkpoint. Make sure you're staying hydrated, kids, especially here where I'm at in New York. It's very warm and very humid. Make sure you get that good hydration flowing through your body. Thank you for saying that, Anna. Yeah, it's kind of funny because we also had some slightly racist views around COVID when it first hit. People were calling it the Chinese flu, which is like, wow, really inappropriate. And people called the Spanish flu, but in fact it didn't originate in Spain. I actually learned from this history podcast it originated in like Oklahoma or Kansas, one of the flyover states. But Spain was particularly hard hit, and that was maybe the first, one of the first times in our history that a flu could a flu or any virus could like expand so dramatically worldwide because, the world was becoming more connected and there was a war. So there was international travel, not of the fun kind, happening all the time. Anyway, it's interesting to look back at that history, and I haven't been spending a lot of time, but it's been coming up for me, in things I read. It's interesting to look back at that history and see weird parallels. There was also an anti-mask movement during the Spanish flu. There were people who were like, no, whatever, this isn't real. Wild. Anyway. Hi, Kuba Mega Tarot. Hello, thank you for joining. Hello, Tammy. How are you? Haven't seen you in forever. How are you doing? All right. So here's the deal. If you've just tuned in, our card for the week is the Five of Cups reversed, which means though we may be experiencing disappointment, we are encouraged at this time to actively look for small examples of our own strength, our own resilience, our own power in our lives, and also of external kindness, of people who are worth showing up for, who show up for us. Look for those tiny examples, make a list of them if possible, because that is going to help carry you through against the pull of negativity. There's a real tendency to sink into the undertow right now of negative thinking right now. And I'm not someone who advocates either extreme positive thinking or extreme negative thinking. I don't think either is extremely realistic. I think both can be harmful. So I urge you right now, because we are being pulled into more negativity, to find examples for yourself of inner strength, of people around you who are decent and kind, and of things that are actually going in your favor in your life. You're welcome, Gigi. All right, so let's see who I have here. I'm going to pull a card for you, Tracy. Melissa, are you still there? Do you want a card? I didn't see a cat from you. Maybe you moved over. Let me see. All right, who's on deck? Mary Jane, Patty Bell, Siobhan, Judith. And Anna, I imagine you want a card. I don't think I saw a cat from you. Oh, you said meow. Okay. So that's a lot of people. I'm going to do the top three. I'm going to do Tracy, Mary Jane, Patty Bell, and then I'll get to the rest of you. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Witchy Weather Report. I do this every week at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and I want to ask you a question because a lot of you are regulars. I want to ask you, what is the best way for me to let y'all know, send you a reminder about the Witchy Weather Report? I've been experimenting this month with posts a day before to let people know, hey, don't forget to tune in for the Witchy Weather Report tomorrow. But I'm wondering if a post half an hour ahead might be more helpful to kind of catch people in the moment. Or both. I don't want to spam people and annoy people, but I know myself that I often forget to tune in for things that I wish to tune in for. I'm thinking of a couple of musician friends who go live that I don't always make their live streams. So let me know what's the easiest way I can remind you. When would it be helpful? All of that kind of thing, because I would like to know. All right, I'm pulling a card for you, Tracy. Then who did I say? Then Mary Jane. And then Patty Bell. And everyone else, don't worry, you're on deck. Judith says, hit me over the head with a hammer. I will not do that. Especially if you're sleeping late with the Benj. How's your kitty? How's he doing? Judith just had a little health scare with her cat, Benj. How's Benj? All right, Tracy, this card is for you. We have another reversal because this is what we're doing today. We have the Two of Emotions. Emotions would be cups. And this indicates to me that there's discord, a challenge connecting to people that you are in partnership with this week. Whether it's romantic partnership or another type of emotional partnership, right? We have partnerships with any close relationship we're in. We're having trouble getting on the same page. When we have the Two of Emotions reversed, usually it's at cross purposes. We want something, the person on the other side of that relationship wants something different. And what I want to tell you is both parties are feeling things that aren't real. And I don't mean to say that dismissively. What I mean to say is that when you're having these conversations that feel like, wow, how could you say that to me? That's so hurtful. Usually the other party, in this particular case, isn't meaning to be hurtful And they themselves may be feeling hurt in a similar way. They themselves may be like, how could you think that about me? That's so hurtful. And I want to tell you that what's happening is our own internal triggers are coming up. External triggers are also playing a factor where a lot of us have a higher level of stress and anxiety right now at this moment in history. And it's affecting our relationships. It's affecting our ability to say things in the kindest way, to respond to people with compassion rather than fear and nervousness, which can lead to, responses that feel aggressive. So I'm not trying to tell you to back down and be a doormat. What I want to tell you is just to take any conversation you have that's challenging with a grain of salt right now, and know that the other person is likely feeling as tied up inside as you are, and know that at the end of the day, you're on one team. If you're in partnership with someone and you're struggling with them, you are on the same team. And the problem right now is finding that mutual understanding. It's not that you are truly against each other. It's just that you're having a hard time getting on the same page. And to know that with a little bit of patience and a little bit of kindness and vulnerability, you really can get through it. It just might take time. And in the meantime, I urge you to please practice really good self-care. Take good care of yourself. Get enough sleep. Make sure you are getting your own alone time to refill your cup, or time with other people who will fill your cup if this one relationship is giving you a challenge. Make sure you're doing all you can to build yourself up so that when you have the more challenging things, you have the resilience in place. Okay. Patty Bell says, I just got back in, had to reboot. Thanks for coming back. You are on deck. I've got Mary Jane, and then I've got you. If you're tuned in and you have not asked me yet, feel free to drop a cat in the chat. That is the signal for Rory, please pull a card for me. And I will. All right, Mary Jane asked me something. Mary Jane says, my beautiful son just put himself in recovery. First time in a huge step. That's wonderful to hear. I'm so happy to hear that this was his choice, because that is very powerful, I think, to choose yourself. I need help with this, and take that first step. Really powerful, really a good way to set the stage for change. Does the universe have some advice for me related to this as his mom? All right, let's find out, Mary Jane. Your card here, I'm doing all reversals this week. Awesome. Your card here is the 7 of Materials reversed. Now, materials here would indicate earth. I'm going to turn this card upright just so you can see what it looks like. This is a beautiful card. You can see there's all these roses. There's this road leading into kind of outer space, leading into potentiality, the universe. And this woman who's on the card, rather than rushing, is taking the time to really tend her garden, is really taking the time to look at each plant and take good care of it. This is analogous to the 7 of Pentacles, and it's about doing the work, the small day-to-day work. The fact that it is reversed, here's what I'm going to tell you. You might feel like something very big is required of you right now, and actually what's required of you is fairly small. You might feel like you have to handle things perfectly, you have to say the right things, you have to be the right person to help with your son's recovery. And what is actually needed is just that you show up in small daily ways to show that you care. That might be as simple as sending a text on some days. That might be giving him space on some days if you know he might be processing something. It might be as simple as giving yourself some care, because you have to recognize this is affecting you as well, and it's okay to build yourself up for it, giving yourself the self-care that you need. You are not asked to make dramatic changes. You are not asked to do big sweeping gestures. You are not asked to change your personality. Your personality is already what it needs to be. Instead, you are being asked to settle into the fact that this is a long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And just ask yourself what small ways you can be supportive of it each day, and not allow those feelings to overwhelm you. Continue to live your life, because a little bit every day really truly does get it done. And I'm going to share a phrase that I took from a book from an artist who spent a lot of time in the recovery community. Easy does it. Easy does it is a common phrase in the recovery community, and it doesn't mean take it easy. It means easy gets it done. Easy accomplishes it. Doing a little bit every day and just staying within your emotional means really truly does get the change done. So I want to just submit that to you. Easy does it. Don't feel that you have to turn your whole life upside down. The opposite is needed. You know, allow for some normalization of this process. All right, Patty Bell, I'm going to pull a card for you. Patty Bell needs advice or info on work transition. Alrighty. I'm shuffling for you, my dear. After that, I know I have a couple people on deck. Oh, good. Judith says, DeBenge is fat, fuzzy, and doing great, thank you. His last pill is today. I'm so glad. Judith's cat, aka DeBenge, had like an asthma attack. Poor thing. Cat with asthma. What a sad situation. And had to go to the vet a couple weeks ago. I'm so glad to hear he's doing better. Okay. Patty Bell. The Muse of Materials. Let me talk to you about this deck. This deck is called the Muse Tarot, and I think you'd love it, by the way, as, you know, the visual person that I know you are, and creative person. Muses replace kings in this deck. This deck is the opposite of patriarchal. We have Page, Knight, Queen, and Muse in this deck. And the Muse of Materials really indicates the divine of materials are earth, you know, the divine of materials, the divinity of your resource, the divinity of practical get it done work. So I'm going to encourage you two things. I'm going to say that just by doing the work, just by showing up and doing the tasks that you know or suspect will help with this, you will find your way through to the other side. And I'm also going to encourage you, because I know you are someone who has a spiritual practice, to consult your spiritual practice regularly around this, you know, to make this be a part of your communication with your guides, with whatever inner guidance you have, because there's help available to you. You're not in this alone, and you actually have a great deal of potentiality and agency here. This is an opportunity not just for a transition to make your work life work a little better, or to make it work once again when it is starting to come apart at the seams. This is an opportunity for you to grow on both a spiritual level as well as like on a practical level in your career. So know that there is divinity in the practical and mundane. Know too that the divine can aid you in the practical and mundane. Both things. Novella Atwood. What a beautiful name. Hello, thank you for tuning in. So anyone who has tuned in recently, if you would like me to pull a card for you, I've got about 15 minutes left. So we're in lightning round territory here. I stay for an hour each week and get to as many cards as I can. If you'd like me to pull a card for you, the secret code is to put a cat emoji in the chat, or to drop the word meow in the chat. And we do that just because when people say pull a card, sometimes we get spammers, and that's like awful. We don't like it. All right. Let's see. I've got a couple people on deck here. I've got Siobhan. I've got Judith. I've got Anna. And I've got Haiku But Make a Tarot over here on Instagram. I'm like pointing to my phone as if... Okay. Siobhan, Judith, Anna, Haiku But Make a Tarot. Here I am. Shuffling for you. I'm going to try and move through these last readings a little quicker so I can get to everyone. Siobhan, so good to see you. How is it across the pond? It's getting weird over here, I'll tell you. Okay, you have the 10 of Inspiration reversed. Now, Inspiration in this deck refers to wands. I love the 10 of Wands in this deck because here's a person carrying water to her home village. You often see this imagery in the 10 of Wands is someone carrying with a burden that they are bringing back to their home village to support themselves and their community with. They are accepting, feeling a bit burdened right now to be kind to those they love and to take care of those they love. And what's special about it in this deck is they actually have help. Like there's all these little cows who are also carrying water. So it really indicates this interconnectedness and the fact that we're not alone in our burden at any time. The 10 of Inspiration reverse means that you might be stuck in a feeling of burden. You may be feeling obligation rather than generosity. You may be feeling like you are the only adult in the room, literally or figuratively. You may be feeling a lot of pressure to provide and to make sure that things go the way they need to go for everyone to thrive. And you may feel like you're the only one concerned about that. And I'm here to tell you that what's truly needed when the 10 of Wands reversed comes up is self-care. And I know it's very hard to take a break at that time. Like a break in particular is really needed. Or as Judith would say, not a break. We don't want any broken bones. We want respite. Take a respite. I encourage you to find time to rest. I encourage you to take a critical look at your schedule and ask yourself if in fact there is anything you could cancel and replace with time for just you. Not you and someone else, because two birds with one stone. Don't kill two birds with one stone. Only look at the bird of getting you to a place where you feel more replenished. And I'm going to tell you, once is not going to cut it. You're going to have to begin a practice every day of looking for ways to fill your cup a little better. Because if you're feeling burnt out, that can snowball. It can affect us. It can turn us into, I don't know how to say it other than nastier versions of ourselves. When we're feeling constantly put upon and pressured, our natural gifts can't shine because we are pulling repeatedly from an empty cup. So I really encourage you to, any way you can do it, treat it as a crisis of a need for self-care. Any way you can do it, please find yourself rest and respite so that when you do show up for others in your life, you can do so from an open heart rather than from a fatigued one. Okay. Pulling a card for you, Judith, then Anna, then Haikub, make it tarot. Anyone else who would like a cat, who would like a card, drop a cat in the chat. I don't think I have anyone else on deck, but if you need a card and I didn't see you, let me know right now. I want to know. Okay, Judith. I saw Melissa Longo here earlier. Melissa, do you want a card? Let me know. Judith, you have the Two of Inspiration, our first upright card of the day, which is just beautiful. Now, Inspiration, again, is wands, fire. And you can see this is like such a really interesting stark card. We have this almost white background. There actually is like this cool, trying to hold this up so you can see it better, kind of a cool pattern there. And then like a portal through which someone is looking with a telescope. You are starting to get an idea of what you are capable of, Judith. You are starting to get a vision of the future that is both startling and exciting. And right now, your job is to continue to expand on that vision, to get excited about it, you know, to perhaps begin making some plans about it. The next step after the Two of Wands is the Three of Wands, where you step through the portal. Right now, all you need to know is your own mindset is key. You may feel like, but how will I accomplish that? You may feel like, do I have the resources for that? Or can I do this with the odds currently stacked against me? And that last one, I'm going to say, if an underdog mentality helps you, it helps me sometimes. So I'll let you decide what to do with that information. Sometimes it feels good to make ourselves the underdog because it pumps us up. But I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, because the truth is that you actually have the resources you desire. You have the help that you need. You have the community support. In particular, community is very important here, and chosen family. You have the support you need to do what you are dreaming of doing. So what I want to ask you to do is dream deeper. That is your task right now. Dream deeper. Know that soon it will be time for you to begin taking those steps, and it will take off and it will snowball. So right now, dream deeper and think real hard about what you really want to do. And I ask you not to put limits on yourself, because you will find you are a lot less limited than you believe. Siobhan says, beautiful, thank you. Delta variant here, but looking positive in terms of actual hospitalization cases. Thank goodness for the vaccine. That's really good to hear. We have Delta here as well. And our numbers are starting to go because we're not all vaccinated yet, which is stressful. I am grateful to be vaccinated, but I'm very concerned about being a vector. I've got my sister has little kids. You know, I don't want to be a vector. I hope anyone tuned in for this, wherever you are and whatever the status is, because COVID is everywhere. I just hope you're taking like sensible and compassionate precautions, not just for yourself, but for everyone else in your life. All right, Anna, I'm pulling a card for you. Then I'm going to pull a card for Haiku, but make it tarot. Let me see. All right. All right, shuffling. This is a slightly, I don't know how to say it, taller deck. It's the same 78 cards, but this cardstock must be a little thicker. It's kind of a tall deck to shuffle. It's a beautiful deck. This is the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann. Okay, Anna, here is your card. Your card is the Hermit reversed. I feel like the Hermit may have come up for you recently. I can't remember. So here's where we're at. There are times when time alone is deeply necessary. And I'm going to say if you're an introvert like me, those times are regular and frequent and healing. And when we find our own answers that way. And then there are times when we shut ourselves off from people, and it's less about needing to find our own answers and needing to take good care of ourselves and more about fear of vulnerability. Fear of rejection, perhaps, or mistrust, the feeling that the people around us won't give us what we need. And you're being called towards a happy medium at this time. If you're feeling like you have to stay cut off from others, you may need to give other people the opportunity to positively surprise you. You may actually be cutting yourself off from the tenderness and connection that every human needs. And I say these words carefully because as an introvert, I'm someone who needs a lot of alone time. It feels rare to me that I don't need alone time, but I think that's a little bit because I'm a very public life introvert. But we all do need compassion, connection, and especially validation. You know, it's great to be able to validate ourselves and our own path, but we need people in our lives to give us that validation, to kind of bear witness to our struggle in a way. Because it helps, because that's like a basic human need. So right now, your path, you may be feeling, and I'm going to call back to a little bit that Ten of Wands reverse energy, you may be feeling stuck, and you may be feeling like when you're not alone, you have a lot of pressure on you, you know, from other parties, and that's why you need to cut yourself off a little bit. And I encourage you to very gently challenge that idea. I encourage you to ask yourself if there are people who might understand you a little better than you believe. And I encourage you to ask yourself if there are things you have avoided asking for from others because either you fear rejection or you fear even worse, like ridicule. But maybe you could get your needs met if you began, you know, carefully choosing people to ask for a little bit of support. That is your quest this week. Haiku, but make it tarot. This is the last card I have, unless anyone else wants a card, in which case let me know. Haiku, but make it tarot. A card for my recent job interviews, best next step in the job search. Thank you. A lot of celebratory cat emojis. Thank you. Thank you for filling my screen with cats. By the way, speaking of cats, everybody, I'm adopting a kitten. A friend's cat has had kittens, and I am going to meet the kittens tomorrow. I don't know which one I'll be taking home, and I won't be taking it home tomorrow because they need a little more time with mom. We're looking about another 4 weeks, but I get to meet the kittens tomorrow. I'm so excited. Wish me luck. All right, Haiku, but make it tarot. Here we go. The Fool. And this is upright. So it's because you kind of had two questions in one. My recent job interview, and the best next step in your job search. The Fool indicates that, I mean, it does indicate like a new path. Now, that could mean you get this job and it feels really exciting to you, and carries you along a new trajectory in your career, which would be wonderful. It could also mean that not getting it or uncertainty around it, because it takes time to hear back around these things, actually leads you down the path that you need to go on. I encourage you right now to keep an open mind and keep doors open rather than closed. I don't know if that means keep job hunting, because I know job hunting can be really stressful and and can feel at times demoralizing, you know, especially like in our current climate. It's kind of weird. But what I encourage you to do is think in terms of possibility and think in terms of things you're excited about. Think in terms of adventure. I encourage you not to go down paths that do not feel like adventure to you, not to go down paths that feel like settling. Encourage you instead to open your heart to the idea that your next great adventure is at your fingertips, and to even like ask the universe or your higher self to guide you right to it, and to trust that if you're taking actions with your heart in the right place, that they will lead you down the road you're meant to be on. Oh, everyone's excited about the kitten. Judith is saying kittens. Yeah, it is very excited. It is very exciting. I'm very excited to meet the kittens. I don't know, we kind of want a girl cat. We don't know the gender of the cat because this person's cat was thought to be a boy until it got pregnant. So we're not sure. Maybe I'll find out tomorrow. But anyway, I'm very excited to meet 4 kittens tomorrow. Like, what a wonderful experience. Anyway, yes, there will be photos. Don't worry, Judith. Thank you so much for coming to the Witchy Weather Report. This is me signing off because I think I have gotten to everybody. I've given people chances. A couple people tuned in and didn't ask for a card, which is their prerogative. But, you know, you're always welcome to ask for a card. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing this with me every week. I will be back next week. What's next week? I think it's the 21st. The week following that, I will not be here because that will be my birthday, my 37th birthday to be exact. Really a weird number. I feel weird about the number 37. It feels like such a random number. It feels like a number that you give to like a random character in a book, like, oh, Joe Schmo was 37. Like, what a random age. But whatever, that's okay. There's benefit to be had in randomness. I'm going to be turning 37 on August 28th, so 2 weeks from today, and there will be no Witchy Weather Report that day. But next week, don't worry, I'm going to be right here, and I'm going to be pulling cards for you again, maybe from this deck, maybe from another deck. Also, if you enjoy this, I forgot to do any of my usual self-promotion stuff. I'll say it all real quick. If you enjoy this, I do have a virtual tip jar. Never expected, always appreciated. It's Venmo at Rory Kelly. Feel free to throw some love in there. Feel free not to. I don't ever want anyone to like feel obligated, especially if they're struggling, because this has been a real time of struggle for a lot of people. I offer these readings freely to put light in your world, and I'm appreciative when people are generous, but never expect it. If you enjoy this, you might enjoy my podcast, Sassafras Cast, and I just came out with a new episode. You can find it by searching the words Sassafras Cast, the word, all one word, Sassafras Cast. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, it will be there. It's an interview with my friend Susanna from Untitled Tarot, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's about using belief as a tool and about using community to help us nurture our beliefs, our healthy beliefs. It was a really fun interview. I had a great time. I hope you have an equally great time listening to it. Yeah, do I have anything else to say? No, just that I love y'all, and I hope you have a great day. Farewell.